Hello, everybody. I have returned. It's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these, and I gotta be honest, it's not because I was busy, and although I have been busy. I definitely I had time to make a video. It's not because of anything personal going on. There haven't been any major updates in my life that would prevent me from making a video. Quite honestly, I haven't made a video because as far as wrestling goes, I feel like there's not a whole lot for me to talk about. The G1 Climax tournament is over. Lucha Underground Season 1 has ended, and we're still waiting to hear on whether or not there's going to be a Season 2. Please, dear God, let's hope. NXT, they're building into their next takeover special. The Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is still going. It's still going fine. I actually really like what they're doing on TV by having live event matches count towards the tournament, and then they provide updates on the TV show. I really like that. Very old school. It's one of the reasons I liked the Bound for Glory series when TNA was doing that, but, they pretty much trashed that because, we can't have nice things, apparently. But, so I'm enjoying the NXT show, and we're getting Bayley versus Sasha Banks in a 30-minute Iron Woman match as the main event of the next TakeOver special, which is going to be great. I mean, that's just a really cool main event to have. So a lot of stuff to look forward to at the TakeOver special, but not enough for me to really do an entire video on. It is, aside from just saying NXT is great, and I'll talk about it more as we get closer to the TakeOver special. But and then finally, you got Raw, which is going to be the main topic of focus in this particular video, but I'll get there when I get there. Got Night of Champions tomorrow night, which, okay, sure. Actually, my next video, I'm going to have a few reviews for you. I'm going to try and watch the King of Trios tournament. I'm definitely going to watch the Ring of Honor All-Star Extravaganza show. I have not watched it yet, so please don't spoil it for me. I'm actually going to make a comparison between Ring of Honor's booking and WWE's booking and show why I prefer one over the other in a certain situation. But I do want to watch the Ring of Honor show, and hopefully it was good, and hopefully I enjoy it when I finally get around to watching it. So my next video will probably be a bunch of reviews. King of Trios, Ring of Honor, and Night of Champions, and probably the fallout on Monday Night Raw, if I decide to watch Raw, to be perfectly frank. So there's that to look forward to, but a video I want to do very soon is another question and answers video. I haven't done one of those in a while, and I think it's time for me to, dust that one off and bring that one back. So yes, I'm going to do another question and answers video. If you have never seen or participated in my question and answers video, I should let you know that my method of submitting questions has changed a few times. Some of that has been because of YouTube. But I think the one I did last time seemed to work out pretty well, so I'll just do it this way. If you have a question for me and you want me to answer it in my question and answers video, submit the question down below in the comments section, and then I'll get to it list them out that way, and then I'll answer the question when I do the video. So, it'll be all good. Guidelines for the questions. Everyone is permitted to ask 2 questions. 2. You get 1 wrestling-related question and 1 non-wrestling related question. So you can ask me about any crazy thing that's on your mind. I'm obviously into a bunch of crazy things like movies and comics and Godzilla and 80s cartoons and all sorts of other weird crap. So anything you want to ask me about, go right ahead. So you get 1 wrestling question and 1 completely free-range, crazy, whatever you want to ask question. So everybody gets 2, and 1 wrestling, 1 non-wrestling. And keep it simple, and it'll be a lot of fun. I enjoy doing the question and answer videos. They require a lot of work to actually do them, but I typically enjoy answering the questions, and I typically have fun with it. So so let's have fun with this one again. So again, if you have questions for me, submit them down below in the comments section, and I will answer them in the question and answers video. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, now it is time for the main topic of hand, and that is the state of Monday Night Raw. It is not good. It is not in a good place right now. I'll be honest, the last 2 weeks, the week before last, I turned the show off early. Literally, Orton and Sheamus came up as one of the matches, and I was like, I'm out. I can't sit through this match again. So I started reading Moby Dick again, a book that I've already read before and is a century and a half old. I felt like I could get more out of rereading Moby Dick than I could out of watching Orton and Sheamus for the 8 billionth time. And the next week, I was watching more Monday Night Football. I thought the game between Atlanta and Philly was very, very good. I'm happy to have football back, even if my Giants did shit the bed on Sunday night in epic fashion. That was a game, and I'm actually going to draw another comparison to Raw here, but the Sunday night game between the Giants and Dallas, that was a game between two teams that were trying to give it away, just trying to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. It was really unbelievable. I mean, and to be honest, Dallas basically gift-wrapped that game for us, and we still screwed it up with lousy play calling down on the goal line. And because in my mind, you never, ever throw in that situation. And if you do, you make sure that Eli, is designed, look, if it's not open, just fall to the ground and drain the clock. That's what you do in that situation. And I was just like, wow, that was a bad play call. Just bad play call. I know the NFL has come out and said, it's like, the pass interference call, we got that wrong, and there should have been holding call on that third down play there. It's like, look, you still manage the clock, I mean, come on. And literally right after that play happened, the third down play, I was like, well, I know how this is ending. Dallas is going to go right down the field and win. I'm turning the TV off and going to bed. Sure enough, I woke up the next morning and I was like, yep, went exactly how I thought it would. Raw, this week's Raw had a very similar thing. It was built on Sting's very first Monday Night Raw match. Tuned in to see it. 2 minutes in, you get run-ins from both Seth Rollins and John Cena. Then they make it a tag match. And I literally just threw my hands up as like, this is how it's going to go down. First of all, it's like, all right, John Cena's got to leech off a Sting because fuck you, that's why. I can never get John Cena separate from the things that I like. It's just really crazy and bizarre. It's one of the most annoying things about her. He's like a fucking leech. Every time something gets over or there's something I like that's featured on the show, John Cena has to be just fucking attached to it for whatever goddamn reason. But the second that match was made, I was like, well, Sting's going to tap out Seth Rollins just to kind of create the illusion that Sting might win at the pay-per-view. I don't want to see that. I'm bored with that. It's a trope. I'm sick and tired of seeing it. I'm just going to flip over and continue watching Monday Night Football. Go to bed, wake up the next morning, and turns out I was completely right. And Sting tapped out Seth Rollins, who has been made to look like a complete and utter bitch throughout the entire build-up to this thing, which tells me Sting is not beating him at Night of Champions. Cena might, Sting will not. I mean, that's a given at this point. It's just... So the last 2 weeks, I tried to watch Raw and just kind of threw my hands up. I was like, I can't even. And I was watching more of the football game than I was Raw last week. And even just the little bits that I watched, I got to a point where I was like, I can't. I can't do this anymore. And that is a very similar feeling that I got way back in 1999 during the Monday Night Wars, when the quality of Monday Nitro took a nosedive like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's really incredible when you think about it. I mean, there was, in 96, once the NWO kicked in, and throughout 97, WCW Nitro was the better show between that and WWF Raw. And some people will fight me on that, but in my personal opinion, that was the show that I thought was most exciting. I thought that show was more interesting overall. Of course, WWF eventually got their shit together and started putting in the building blocks to build towards the Attitude Era, and it ultimately, 98, they pretty much took over. But by 99, I was just blown away. It was like 2 years ago, this was the most exciting show. I mean, around WrestleMania 13 time, Nitro was blowing them out of the water, both in terms of quality and in terms of the ratings. And then you got WrestleMania 13, which was a disaster. It did a disastrous buy rate up against WCW Uncensored, which was a throwaway show with a dumb Battle Royal main event. And the buy rate of Uncensored just blew it out of the water. I mean, and then you got the Raw from Germany, which did that super low rating, and it was like, man, WWF, it's just not looking too good right now. It's amazing what happened in just 2 years, where it was almost like they flipped, where WWF was can't miss, and WCW was like, what the hell is this? It was really bad, but I look at Raw in 2015 now, and obviously Sting being the main event of... Actually, Sting versus the Giant being the main event of this Raw. Definitely kind of showed that off a little bit and made it a little bit more obvious, but Raw has basically become Monday Nitro. And I don't mean good Nitro, like 96, 97, even in 98 Nitro. I'm talking like 99 when, everything sank like a rock. We're at that level of how bad the show is getting at this point. And, it's a couple of key factors. And it's not even just Sting, really, but just the most obvious is the 3 hours. And when you look at Monday Nitro and why people speculate on why things turned out as badly as it did, obviously backstage politics had a lot to do with it, but one of the key factors in WCW ultimately losing the war was overexposure. The addition of Thunder was definitely a big part of that, in addition to the 12 other shows that they had. But there was also that extra hour added to Nitro, which it became extremely difficult to fill that third hour. And I can't remember, ever since Raw went to 3 hours, I can't remember a single episode that I thought, yeah, that was totally worth a third hour. It's like, man, and there have been good Raws, and there have been Raws that did good things, obviously. There were even good things on this particular show. I mean, New Day. I mean, they continue to be the most entertaining part of Raw every week. But I don't know how much longer that'll last. But for right now, I'm loving the hell out of them. But, where was I going with this? But yeah, you look at those old Nitros when they started going to 3 hours, and it didn't take long for the quality to start dipping, because it just becomes a Herculean task to fill that third hour. And ever since Raw went to 3 hours, it feels like a chore most of the time, just sitting through the whole thing. It's too over-bloated. It's too full of recaps. It's too full of repetition and boredom, and it feels just over-bloated, and it's also a contributing factor to the pay-per-views feeling less special, because you've got Raws that are longer than the damn pay-per-views. So, and you're asking me to pay for those, even if it is just $9.99. But yeah, that overexposure is a major problem right now. And, I'm only watching Raw, and I feel like I get overly bloated and I get more than my fill of WWE content. I don't even bother with SmackDown or Main Event or Superstars. I watch NXT, but really NXT is like the successful brand split where it feels like it's its own thing. And I'll watch... And if I had to choose between one or the other, would you rather watch Raw or watch NXT? I'd watch NXT in a heartbeat. I mean, this is not even a contest of which one I'd rather watch. If I had to give one up, it'd be Raw. And it's getting close. They make it an easy decision week after week. But, Triple H even said it on the Austin podcast. That third hour is killer. It's just too much content to fill, too much repetition. They burn through all their stories and all their matches too quickly. And everything just becomes kind of boring and mundane. And all the shows start to look alike, and it's a major problem. And the third hour is a major contributor of that. But another aspect that led to Nitro's downfall were boring matches. They would give us the same matches over and over and over again. And I've said it before in previous videos, but the match pairing that I got the most sick of back in those days was Hulk Hogan and goddamn Ric Flair. Like, oh my God. When I saw in 1999 that they were still feuding and still having pay-per-view main events together, I just threw my hands up and I'm like, how many goddamn times do I need to see this fucking match? It's just, what is this? I mean, what is the fascination with Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair? Their best match was the Bash at the Beach match at 1994. That was their best match, okay? I never thought their matches were that good. There are Hogan matches that I really like. There are Flair matches I really like, but for whatever reason, the two of them just never clicked and never had a strong chemistry. I don't know why that is, but for whatever reason, their pairings just never worked for me. Flair and Steamboat, I could watch those every day. Sting and Flair, most of the time, those worked. Hogan and Warrior, loved it. Hogan Rock, loved it. Hogan Flair, never worked. Never ever worked for me. And again, the Bash at the Beach 94 match was the best one. And then you saw that match about 8 billion times after that. And, it got boring after a while. It's like, look, can't we move past this? Can't we... I get you want to use these big name stars, but can we create new situations? Can we have them fight new guys and create fresh matches that are interesting? And they seemed reluctant to do that. And here we are with WWE in 2015. I have seen John Cena and Sheamus face each other at least 1,000 times. I have seen Randy Orton and Sheamus face each other at least 1,000 times. Even matches like Paige and Sasha Banks, when I saw that pop up on this week's Raw, I was like, did they put in a tape from last week's show? What the hell? I feel like I've seen that match 6 times. And they put people in a feud and they have them wrestle each other every week. Whether even if it's just through tag matches and 6-man tags or whatever, I mean, you will see that pairing over and over and over and over again to the point where you just throw your hands up and go, what the fuck? What the fuck? I mean, my God, man, it's boring, and most of the matches don't mean anything because next week they're just going to wrestle the same people anyway, so who cares? Jesus, it's boring. It's terrible. And they litter the show with those type of matches. Just those matches I feel like I've seen like 1 billion times. The worst example of it, and we're going back to 2009 here, Hart Dynasty and Crime Time, during their feud or rivalry, whatever terminology you want to use, I swear to God, I must have seen, whether it be through singles matches or tag matches or having their valets fight each other, or it was intergender tags or whatever, there was some version of Hart Dynasty and Crime Time on every single show for every single week for like 6 months. At least it felt that way. It was like, how many fucking times do I need to see the Pinks fight, the Denim guys? Like, what? I don't fucking care anymore. It was like, my God, will you just fucking stop? And it just became like a joke after a while. And it makes the matches meaningless because it's like, all right, if Crime Time wins, what happens as a result of their victory? They fight the Hart Dynasty next week. If the Hart Dynasty wins, what happens as a result of their victory? They fight Crime Time next week, so who gives a fuck? Nothing's advancing. You're just spinning your goddamn wheels. And that's how I feel whenever I see like an old pairing that I've seen dozens upon dozens of times. And especially with Sheamus. So it's always either him and Orton or him and Cena or him and, like, I don't know, Wade Barrett is another one that seemed to be, they seem to throw him up against a lot. Him and Del Rio, that was one that got old really quick. I mean, they know how to, like, my God, they make a match pairing, they make a feud, and you see nothing but that for at least 6 or 7 incarnations. It's just really, oh God, is it boring and so bad. And, the biggest indicator of this week's Raw reminding me so much of Nitro, and it wasn't Sting specifically, although Sting is kind of the core of this, the reliance of old guys to generate interest or to pop a rating or whatever. And I actually don't know what the ratings were for Raw this week. I imagine they probably took a hit because of Monday Night Football. I would like for them to take a hit because their show's so bad, but in any case, there's just this over-reliance on the past to generate interest, whether it be The Rock, whether it be the Dudley Boys, whether it be The Undertaker, whether it be Sting being put in the main event, whether it be Sting versus Big Show, a match that I saw at least 5 times in WCW, they main evented a pay-per-view once. All sorts of things like that. There's just this reluctance to kind of move past the previous generation and then move on to something new and create new stars and generate interest that way. I'll give you an example. Nikki Bella versus Charlotte probably should have been the main event of this particular Raw, and it should have come after at least 2 or 3 months of build. Like the Bellatron stuff that they were doing, counting down to Nikki breaking the record, is something that they should have been doing for months. Like the last 2 or 3 months, and this should have been the end game. This should have been the focus of the Divas Revolution from the very beginning. It was not. They just kind of started doing this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, could you imagine if they'd actually built this match up for like a long period of time and got them to care? And when they actually did the match, don't pull that kind of, what's the word I want to use? Tomfoolery or whatever fucking bullshit that they pulled there in the finish just to get onto the pay-per-view or whatever. But yeah, that would have been a totally viable, worthwhile TV main event. You would have established two characters, built them up over the course of a few months, have an end game with the Bellatron. And again, this is something they should have been doing months ago and not something that you just slap together in the last few weeks and expect people to care. But if they'd actually cultivated that and put everything into place and put all the pieces into place, they really could have made that match matter and really made it feel like a big deal. And it would have involved two, the Bellas have been around for a while, but two like new generation stars. And really make it feel like they matter and really get you to invest and care in them. But they don't seem to be interested in doing that very often. They just kind of, they want to, constantly rely on their past to generate interest. And that's something that Nitro did a lot. I used the Hogan Flair example, but my God, I mean, Hogan, that was the prime example right there. It's like using the past to generate interest. It was, it's like, oh, let's just keep going to that Hogan Flair well and, whatever, all that stuff, which one of the reasons that WWF won the war is because they were the company, they became the show that was all about creating new stars and being exciting and edgy and, all right, what are you going to do with this guy? And, oh, that guy seems interesting. What are you going to do with him? What character are you going to give that guy? And is he going to get over? And it was like even, you look in 2000, Austin was down. Undertaker was down. Fully retired. They still had Rock. They still had Triple H. They were establishing Chris Jericho. They got all those guys from WCW, the Radicals. They got Benoit, Malenko, Guerrero, and Perry Saturn. They used them very well early on. New Age Outlaws had split up and they were pretty much done. So they had the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Engine Christian to carry the ball. And you didn't really miss the Outlaws when they were done because you had all these other teams that they had already established and were doing really well. Even APA, I'll throw APA up there. Right to Censor, they got over as heels. So I'll throw them up there as well. You had Too Cool, they were over. So they were always on the lookout for new stars. And in 2000, you also had newcomers Rikishi. I mean, Fatu had been around a while, but he'd been repackaged and given a new character, and they, did something with him. Kurt Angle, newcomer. He was like a natural. He became a star almost right off the bat. So they were always on the lookout for new, fresh, and exciting things, and they're not really about that anymore. They may say they are, but it's all about stagnation and boredom and going to the John Cena well, or going to the Attitude Era well, or going to the WCW well. Even they'll even they'll even dig that up after years and years of telling us that WCW sucked. Now we're supposed to care about Sting. Okay, cool. I guess it's fun that Sting actually won a match in the WWE. I never thought that would happen, but he's not winning at the pay-per-view. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, it's just. Man, I like the feeling I get watching Monday Night Raw in 2015. It really does remind me of that 1999 Nitro period where it was very difficult to watch. Very, very difficult to watch. And that, you wouldn't want to emulate WCW. That's not somebody you want to emulate, especially in 99, 2000, 2001. That's just not good. Not good at all. But, yeah, I got Night of Champions. Actually, it's past midnight as I'm filming this, so it's actually later tonight in a way. In less than 24 hours, the pay-per-view will have concluded, but I'll go ahead and preview it real quick. I don't know the full card off the top of my head. I know all the titles are on the line. I'm trying to... Again, my interest has been so minimal that I just don't know... I don't know everything. I know you've got Seth Rollins defending the title, both of his championships, the U.S. title against John Cena and the world title against Sting. So he's in that situation. A similar situation to what Jay Lethal found himself in Ring of Honor heading into the All-Star Extravaganza pay-per-view. He's both the TV champion and the world champion. He was going to defend him against both members of Red Dragon. Ring of Honor did a much better job, and it wasn't even that great. It wasn't like the most exciting or cutting edge thing in the world. They just they didn't make their champion look like a bitch, which is what Seth has been the entire time. And they didn't have them wrestle each other in tag matches or whatever, but they kept Red Dragon in matches to make them look strong and make them look like viable competitors. Again, not the most cutting edge thing in the world, not the most exciting thing in the world. It's just basic wrestling booking 101. Let's not make the champion look like a bitch, and let's make the challengers look strong. So that way you generate interest in the actual matches themselves. And here, it's just Seth has been made to look like such a bitch that I know he's not going to lose the world title, at least. He may lose the U.S. title, but, I know he's walking out as the WWE champion because that's just how they're so... they're trying to be unpredictable by having him lose all the time. They think that they're making us think, oh, he might lose at the pay-per-view too. But he's lost so frequently, it's like, I know they're just going to have him win at the pay-per-view. That's just how it is. Again, I could be wrong, but I don't count on Seth Rollins dropping the belt to Sting. He may drop it to Cena because there is that old thing with Cena where once he loses one match, he's got to win the next 40 just to make up for it. That weird fucking thing that they do. They did it with Kevin Owens. I mean, my God. He wins the first match clean as a sheet, and it's like, oh, great, what are you going to do with him? He's going to lose to Cena. Twice. Because, fuck you, that's why. Speaking of Kevin Owens, he's facing Ryback for the Intercontinental title. That could be cool. At least it's a fresh match. I'll give him that. I would hope that Owens would win the belt. I'm actually already thinking, wouldn't it be cool if Owens won the IC title and that was his first main roster WWE title, and then Sami Zayn came back, and then at WrestleMania 32, it's Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the IC title, and you get like a continuation of the NXT story on the main WWE show, and then it pays off at WrestleMania. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be awesome? I'd be down for that. I would love that. Any excuse to get like an NXT presence on WrestleMania, I think, is a good idea because they're just vastly superior in almost every way. And it's not even like their roster is that better. Like their roster is taking a hit actually because Owens isn't there. Hideo Itami's hurt. Sami Zayn is hurt. You just had Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch move up to the main roster, although Sasha's still doing some stuff. She's going to be the main event of the next one. But, the roster's taking a hit, but they're just booked so much better that, okay. It's like, all right, you're still a better show than your main show. But anyway, now that I've unfavorably compared the main WWE show to its own developmental program and to, Ring of Honor, moving right along with Night of Champions, what do we got? I've already talked about 3 of the title matches. You got Nikki versus Charlotte again for the Divas title. Whatever, don't care. I should care. It should be a big deal. Charlotte might win the belt, which would be cool. I should be excited about that, but it's just they've done so little to make that Divas Revolution feel important that I can't invest. It's just not there. You've got the Dudley Boys challenging New Day for the tag titles. Again, that's kind of another thing where the Dudley Boys come back. They beat up the New Day. Then they beat him in the fucking that's one of the tropes I hate. The fucking non-title match. It's such a cheap way to establish a contender. It really is. But and I'm kind of sick of it. It's almost like whenever a champion's in a non-title match, I almost know he's going to lose. Because it's like, yeah, that's what they do. It's what they do. Hopefully New Day keeps the titles. There's literally no reason for the Dudley Boys to be the tag champions in 2015. I mean, they're not as bad as the Outlaws, the New Age Outlaws. And Bully Ray showed in TNA that he's pretty damn good. But, you got a good thing going with New Day. Please don't ruin it. Please don't. It's just whatever. It is what it is. They're gonna do what they want to do. But I think that's all the title matches. You've got the new Wyatt family, which I'm actually digging what they're doing with the Wyatt family. They actually look dangerous, and they're getting cult members, which is what they were doing at first. They should have been doing it all along with Bray. It seemed like the Cena feud really derailed a bunch of things, but it seems like this new Wyatt family is doing pretty well, and they've done a pretty good job making Braun Strowman look like a monster. He's not going to fly off the top rope. He's not going to do moonsaults or anything crazy like that, but they've believably built him up as unbeatable. and I think that's a good thing, and I think that's valuable, and I think keep using that. I'm not entirely sure who the third man is going to be for the not Shield. Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and whoever their mystery partner is. A lot of people are saying it's going to be Eric Rowan. We'll see. That'd be an interesting choice. I'd rather just put Eric Rowan back with the Wyatts, but since they've reformed it anyway. Yeah, I don't know who their third... that could be interesting. It's like, that's actually one piece of intrigue for the pay-per-view. I don't know who the third person's going to be. Who is the third man for the non-NWO? But whatever. Yeah, what else is on this card? I don't even know. I'm just... Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I know. That's all I can think of. Sorry, that's all I got. I'm sure there's more matches. I just don't know what they are at this point. But, yeah, it's just, the show's been so bad lately that I've actually quit on the episodes while they are in progress. And I've got Monday Night Football, too, so that's only going to hinder my ability to care about watching Monday Night Raw every Monday. It's just, that's a problem, man. It's hard to care. It's just really hard to get excited about anything on the main WWE show at this point. But they've got NXT, and that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. Actually, I saw a preview for their show, Dinner for Three or whatever, which is obviously not a completely original idea, but depending on who the guests are and the way it's handled, that could be really cool. I haven't seen it yet, but I might actually check it out just for that, because that show looked intriguing. That's like an interesting way of doing shoot interviews without actually doing shoot interviews. So if anybody knows how they are, please tell me, because it looked really intriguing. But I just... Raw's kind of beat me into submission, and that's really killed my interest in this pay-per-view. That's basically all there is to say. If I decide to watch Night of Champions, but that depends on how I'm feeling towards the Sunday night game, really. I'll probably have a review for it up next week, along with reviews of Ring of Honor All-Star Extravaganza and the King of Trios tournament. I'm really excited to watch the King of Trios tournament, actually. Because I've never actually sat down and watched it, so it's one of those new experiences for me. Hopefully I enjoy it. I was talking to somebody that said the tournament was good, so hopefully I enjoy it. But that is all I have for now. Thank you all for watching this video, and again, reminder, question and answers video coming up soon. Post your questions down below. Everybody gets one wrestling question, one non-wrestling question. So with all of that, I am done for tonight, and y'all have a good one.